Hello, Kalpita. Hi. Okay, so let's start our class now. I hope all of you are able to hear me very clearly and you will view the screen, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So, what I was telling in the last class, so we'll start from that one. If you recall that if we, the topic where I ended in the last class is that if we have a rational number expressed in the form of p by q, how we can, just by looking into that rational number, we can tell that whether that it is a its decimal representation is terminating or not, and if it is not terminating, then whether it is recurring and non-terminating recurring or not. Correct, no, dear students?
yeah,
So if you look into it, that what we have done, that we just concentrate on that q, and we express that number q in the form of 2 to the power m into 5 to the power n. If not always we can express q in the form of 2 to the power m into 5 to the power n, if we are able to express that q in the form of 2 to the power m into 5 to the power n, then we say that the decimal expansion of p by q terminates. Not only that, we can say that it actually terminates after the maximum between m and n number of decimal places. Correct, no? And if we are not able to express q in the form of 2 to the power m into 5 to the power n, then we say that decimal expansion of p by q is non-terminating but recurring. Correct, no?
yeah.
Absolutely clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what we are going to discuss, now we are going to discuss about the next topic, and that is what's called about the irrational number. Correct, not dear students? Okay. Now, um, in that irrational number, what we are going to discuss first is that uh, though I start, touch base in the last class about that, irrational number. So the formal definition of irrational number is that a number S is called an irrational number if S cannot be expressed as P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. Okay, so let me bring the exact note and then let me explain further. Okay, so the irrational number, dear students, a number S is called an irrational number if S cannot be expressed as P by Q, where P and Q are integers and Q is not equal to 0. For example, root 2 is an irrational number as it cannot be expressed in the form of P by Q, where PQ are integers and Q is not equal to 0. Sometime you may have found the value of root 2. If you use a calculator, okay, any calculator if you use and you just, find the value of root 2, it will give what, dear students, it will give you up to some decimal places and it is not the exact correct value. Okay, because the decimal expression of an irrational number is always non-terminating and non-recurring. Very important, dear students. Okay, non-terminating and non-recurring, both are true at the same time. Unlike rational numbers, where you found that if the decimal expression of a rational number is non-terminating, then it must be recurring. Correct, no? If you notice. But in case of an irrational number, definitely its decimal expression is non-terminating and non-recurring. For example, you take an um, you know uh, irrational number root 2 and start finding the value of that irrational number in any calculator. Okay, let me show you. Just if we start finding the value of root 2, how it will looks like. Okay, then it will help us to understand why we are saying that it is non-terminating and non-recurring. For example, let's take the value root 2, square root of 2. Okay. Now, if we start finding the decimal representation of root 2, we'll get a number something like that. 1.414213562373095 and so on. Okay, dear students. And if you see, you will never find a pattern. You will never find a pattern, okay, so that you can say that it is recurring. All of you are able to hear, understand my point? Manishika, you understood my point very
Yes, sir.
clearly? Okay. So what I'm saying is that this decimal expression of that root 2, what we get is that it is always, you will never able to find any pattern. If you see here, there is no pattern you found. And not only that, after writing that 698, I stopped. It actually continues. How far I can write, right? Because it is non-terminating and non-recurring. Okay, as no particular number sequence is repeating after a certain period, hence it is non-recurring. And that creates a problem. What kind of problem? And I explained a little bit in the last class is that you know in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day life, wherever we talk about the number system, we generally avoid irrational numbers. I gave that example in the last class, that if you go to a shopkeeper or if you go to a grocery shop and ask for, for example, if you ask, okay, give me 2 liter of uh, milk, that is different. You can say give me 3 by 2 liter of milk, that is also fine. You can tell give me 2 by 3 liters of milk, that is also fine. But if you ask give me root 2 liter of milk, that is little confusing. And that is why irrational numbers are generally do not come into the picture in our day-to-day life mathematics. But there are some numbers, some irrational numbers, which are so used in mathematics that we approximate that irrational number to a rational number. One such number is pi, a mathematical constant. I explained in the last class, dear students, that if you take a circle and if you construct any circle without knowing its diameter, you just construct a circle and then start measuring its circumference and divide that circumference by the diameter, then what you will get, dear students, you will get a number, and that number is an irrational number. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
let me just touch base this thing, though as I explained in the last class. After that, we will start with that the new topic about irrational number and its representation in the number line. So what I'm talking about is that if you look into, it is to be noted that the pi, okay, the number which is a mathematical constant, okay, and it is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter. Correct, no, dear students? Okay, and what we see is that is an irrational number. It is an irrational number, and its value is mentioned as you see 3.414. As you see, it is a very long number, and it doesn't repeat and it doesn't terminates. It doesn't repeat as well. If you see exactly, if you start finding the value of pi now, if you accurately divide the circumference of a circle with its diameter, you will get a value something like this. And it continues, by the way. It never terminates, it continues like this. And you will never find a pattern, dear students. Okay, which is a non-terminating and non-recurring, and no particular number sequence is repeating after a certain period. We generally consider the approximate value of pi as 22 by 7. And dear students, if you start finding the decimal expansion of 22 by 7, we will find it is non-terminating but recurring. What is that? 142857. That is actually recurring after the decimal place. And also we can say in a different manner. If you see the number 22 by 7, and if we just focus on the denominator, that 7 we cannot express in the form of 2 to the power m into 5 to the power n, na, dear students. Correct, na?
Yeah.
We cannot express that 7 in the form of 2 to the power m into 5 to the power n. Hence, we can say the decimal expansion of 22 by 7 is non-terminating but recurring. Why recurring? Because it is a rational number. And if you make a long division, either, the division what you divide 22 by 7, or you use any calculator, you will find that the value is coming as 3.142857, 142857, 142857, 142857, and so on. So what we see, that 142857, that is actually recurring. And hence we represent like this 3.142857 with a bar, as you see, dear students. Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
So, but in a very pure mathematical notation, pi is an irrational number. Hence, it cannot be exactly equal to 22 by 7. But we use 22 by 7 because that is what is important. In later, if you go for any science entrance test interview, this kind of question generally asked that, what is the true value of pi? Then you should answer the true value of pi is not possible to give with exact accuracy because it is an irrational number and its decimal expansion is non-terminating and non-recurring. But as an approximation, we take the value of pi as 22 by 7. Clear? Now we are going to discuss something very interesting, is that representing any irrational number or rational number, in a number line. Okay. More importantly, what I can say is that, if I ask you, um, you need to represent a number 2 in the number line. What is a number line? Let's first spend some time on that. What is a number line? Dear students, uh, in the last class, just you see, dear students, in the number line, what happens is that any real number, okay, the real number is represented by the set R. And what that R contains? R contains the set of all rational number, that is denoted by Q, union the set of all irrational number, okay, that is defined by Q prime. But in simple term, what I can say is that, based on your understanding, what I can say is that that set of all rational number and irrational number, okay, together can be given as an a real number. So I can write like that: R is a set of all rational numbers plus set of all irrational numbers. Correct, no?
Yes, sir.
And that is called a set of real numbers. Now, any number we can represent in that, any real number we can represent in the number line. Okay. So, what is a number line? Number line is something, it is a straight line. As the line says, it is a straight line, and it is a ever-ending straight line. So we define this is the midpoints, and it is we denote it by 0. Then, as we go in the right hand side, we take it as 1, then as 2, then as 3, then as 4, then as 5, with a unit distance apart, and it goes up to plus infinite. And if we take in the left hand side of 0, that is -1, then -2, then -3, then -4, then -5, and in that way it goes up to minus infinite. Correct, no, dear students?
Yes, sir.
So this is called the number line. Now, any real number, okay, we can place in the number line. Any real number, I repeat, we can place in the number line. For example, if you ask, sir, can you please point number 2 line, the number 2 in the number line? Absolutely. So what we'll do is that we just go to the point 2 and just point it. If you ask me, sir, can you point, can you make a point in the number line which represents the number 2.5? Absolutely. Between 2 and 3, exact midpoint, we can represent at 2.5. Correct, no, dear students? If you ask, okay, sir, can you represent a number called root 2 in the number line? Yes, that is also possible. But how, that we are going to learn now. Okay, how we can represent square root of x in the number line, that we are going to learn now. Correct, na, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how we are going to learn, and it is a very methodical step-by-step procedure. If you learn the steps, it will be absolutely clear. Okay, and I will always recommend that you should remember these steps, and it will never be a problem. Generally, what happened is that if a question is that, you need to find a number, you need to represent a number square root of 17 in the number line. How to represent? You need to represent square root of 13 in the number line. How to represent? Okay, so I made a very step-by-step procedure how you can represent any number like square root of x in the number line. Okay, where x belongs to the set of all positive real numbers. Okay, so I'm just going to spend that next 10 to 15 minutes in discussing that. Okay, so representing square root of x in number line for any x belongs to R plus. If you see, dear student, there is a plus. That means it has to be, R has to be positive real number. Because the moment it is a negative one, square root of negative is, it is not in the domain of real number. It is called an imaginary number, which we are not going to discuss now, and as it is beyond our scope at this moment. Okay, when we will discuss in future, you will know about how to represent a square, what is square root of a negative number, that is called imaginary number, and there is a separate topic for that altogether. So what I'm going to tell you, dear students, there is always questions come from here, is that represent a particular, suppose square root of 5 in the number line, square root of 3 in the number line, square root of 17 in the number line. How to represent in a very generic manner, that I'm going to tell you now. Following are the steps to be followed, okay, to represent square root of x in the number line for any x belongs to R plus. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And as I said, the R plus is a set of all positive real numbers. Okay. The step one. Let me first show you the step one, then I will explain. Just give me a minute, dear students. So it is a 5 steps process. There are 5 steps involved. The first step is something like this. I hope all of you are, could you please confirm that you are able to read it very clearly? Dear
Yes, sir.
students, able to hear it very clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. The step one is that draw a line segment AB, okay, of length x. Okay, because why length x? Because we need to find the, representation of square root of x. So that's why first we take that line segment AB, as you see, of length x. And the point B further proceed to the point C along the same line so that BC is 1 unit. So in the scale in which you are measuring AB, then BC should be extended by 1 unit. So as a result, what will be AC? X plus 1, correct, no, dear students? Okay. So what is AB? AB is X and BC is 1. So AC should be AB plus BC, which is X plus 1. Clear? Absolutely clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. You need to raise your voice a little bit. Okay. So I repeat, AB, suppose you need to find the value of square root of 5. Then not find the value of, sorry, you need to make a, line representation of the, in the number line, you need to represent the square root of 5 in the number line. You have the number line, as I explained few minutes back, the number line, as you see the number line here, na, dear students, this is the number line.
Yeah.
In that number line, you need to represent that square root of 5. In that case, x is 5. So your first task should be what? You need to make that AB is a 5 unit. Okay. And then in the scale in which you are measuring AB is 5 unit, on that scale, take 1 unit and extend from B to C. So as a result, what will be AC? AC should be AB plus BC, that is X plus 1. Clear, no, dear students? Absolutely clear, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is the step 1. So this is the first drawing you need to do. After that, it is coming the second step. What is the second step? Second step I am going to tell you now. Second step is that find a point, midpoint of AC. Find the midpoint of AC. Now you have AC. AC, what is the length of AC? Length of AC is X.
X plus 1.
X plus 1, correct? So now we are finding the midpoint of AC, which is O, for example. Okay, this is the midpoint of AC, that is O. Then what will be OC? Definitely OC should be X plus 1 by 2, na, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Because OC is equal to AC by 2, that is X plus 1 by 2.
Yeah.
And what will be OB? OB is nothing but OC minus BC. We just found OC is equal to X plus 1 by 2 and BC is equal to 1 unit. So obviously OB should be X plus 1 by 2 minus 1, that is X minus 1 by 2. Correct, no?
Yeah.
Any smallest difficulty, dear students, any smallest difficulty, never hesitate to ask me. Okay, never hesitate, because you need to make your understanding rock solid, and for that you need to ask me as many times as possible you can, unless you are completely clear. This is step 2. So in step 2, what we found? Step 2, we found that the value of OB and OC. So we found that OB is equal to X minus 1 by 2 and OC is equal to X plus 1 by 2. After that, it is coming step 3. So in step 3, what we are going to do, dear students, is that draw a semicircle. Okay, let us draw a semicircle with O as center. Okay, with radius OC. Then the semicircle will be looks like this, no, dear students?
Yes,
Correct or
sir.
not? Okay, so you take that O as a center and OC as the radius and construct a semicircle. Obviously, OC will be, this semicircle will be looks like this. Any doubt?
No.
Absolutely clear? Manishika?
Yeah.
Kalpita?
Yes,
Absolutely clear? Okay. Now what happened is that the moment we found the value of the moment we construct that semicircle, then you proceed with the step 4. Okay. So now I would like to proceed with the step 4, and here is a little calculation that I want to show it to you first. Now let's first draw. What is in the step 5? What you need to do? Draw a perpendicular from the point B and let it cut the semicircle at the point D. How? Let me show it to you. Okay, if you make that drawing, so it should be something like this. Just a minute. Correct, my dear students?
Yes, sir.
First look into it. So what is that? Draw a line, draw a perpendicular line from the point B. This from the point B, let's draw a perpendicular line. Okay, and let it cut the semicircle at the point D. This is the point D at which it actually cuts the semicircle. So what will be OD? OD is nothing but OC, because OC and OD both are the radius of that circle, right? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So as we found OC is equal to x plus 1 by 2, so OD should be also x plus 1 by 2, correct or not?
Yeah.
So what we found? We found the value of OD, which is x plus 1 by 2, and OB we already aware of, which is x minus 1 by 2, correct or not? Now let us just focus in the triangle OBD. OBD is a right angle triangle, no, dear students? Because as we have drawn the perpendicular, so this is right angle, right?
Yeah.
The angle OBD is a right angle. So in that right angle triangle OBD, what we found? We found that OD is equal to x plus 1 by 2 and OB is equal to x minus 1 by 2. So we can find the value of BD. Not a big deal. How? Because of the Pythagoras theorem. BD square equal to OD square minus OB square, not, dear students?
Yeah.
So that is what? X plus 1 by 2 whole square minus x minus 1 by 2 whole square. Correct or not?
Yeah.
Absolutely clear?
Yes, sir.
Now after that we make some algebraic simplification. Okay? And if you want to know how that simplification happens, I can explain it here. It is x plus 1 by 2 whole square minus x minus 1 by 2 whole square. So then it is 1 by 2 whole square is 1 by 2 square is 4. So what we are getting? X plus 1 whole square, correct or not? Minus x minus 1 whole square. So that is equal to 1 by 4. A plus b whole square minus a minus b whole square is nothing but 4 into a into b, if you recall the formula. So it is 4 into x into 1, correct or not? So what we get? It is equal to x. So BD square equal to x. So definitely BD is equal to square root of x. We are not concentrating on the negative value of square root of x. Generally, if BD square equal to x, that means BD equal to plus minus square root of x. But we are concentrating only on plus square root of x. You may ask, sir, why you did so? Okay. And that is why the last point is coming. So for any difficulty to understand, dear students?
So can you repeat the simplification?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for asking this question. Okay, thank you very much. You know that x plus 1 by 2 whole square minus x minus 1 by 2 whole square. So what we are doing, that as 1 by 2 whole square is there, so it is 1 by 2 whole square means what? 1 by 2 square, that is 1 by 4, correct or not?
Yeah.
1 by 4 that we took common. That's why you see 1 by 4 is there now.
Yeah.
And then what we left with? X plus 1 whole square minus x minus 1 whole square. And dear students, there is a formula, is that a plus b whole square minus a minus b whole square is equal to 4 into a into b. How? I can show it to you. Okay, let me use a different color and explain you. Suppose a plus b whole square, okay, minus a minus b whole square. The formula is 4 into a into b, but how? Let me show you. What is a plus b whole square? It is a square plus 2ab plus b square, na, dear students, minus What is a minus b whole square? A square minus 2ab plus b square, na, dear students. So then what happened? It is a square plus b square, and minus a square minus b square got cancelled, na?
Yeah.
So we'll end up with 2ab minus of minus 2ab, that is plus 2ab, na? So that becomes 4ab. Dear students, correct?
Yeah.
So that's what we wrote. As a plus b whole square minus a minus b whole square equal to 4 into a into b. So in context to our discussion, that x plus 1 whole square minus x minus 1 whole square should be 4 into x into 1, correct?
Yeah.
4 into x into 1 is, and 1 by 4 is there, so altogether we get x. Now is it clear? Absolutely clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, now what we are going to do is that we found that value of BD. As we found the value of BD, then our next task is actually very simple, to represent that number square root x in the number line. How? That I'm going to show you now. Okay, so let me first place this one, and after that let me explain. So the step 5, which is the last step. Now draw a circular arc with the center at the point B. With the center at the point B, because we know BD we are aware, na, that square root of x. If you remember that BD is equal to square root of x. Clear or not clear? BD is equal to square root of x.
Yes, sir.
So then we are taking, we are making that B as a center and BD as the radius. We are making a circular arc, like this circular arc, what you see in the red, na?
Yeah.
And that circular arc will cut that number line at the point E. Correct, no, dear students? So now let me read. Now draw a circular arc with center at the point B and with radius BD, such that the circular arc cuts the extended line segment AC. Okay, at the point T. AC was the line segment already we have drawn, correct?
Yeah.
And if you see that E is the point here. So this is a circular arc. Okay, this is a circular arc, and once you draw the circular arc, it cuts the number line, which is the number line means which is the extended line at E. So what is the value of BE? BE is equal to square root of x, correct or not? Because BD is the radius of the that circular arc, what I marked in red. BD and BE both are same, correct or not, dear students?
Yeah.
So BE is equal to BD, correct or not?
Yeah.
So that implies that BE, as BD is equal to square root of x, so we get BE is equal to square root of x. So the number square root of x is represented in the number line as the length of the line segment BE. So now how we can represent in the number line? Not a big deal. Let's consider the B is the origin. We consider B as the origin, means we say this is the number, B is the number represented by 0. Then obviously the number E should be represented by root x, no? Correct or not? All of you understood very clearly? Any doubt? If you remember these 5 steps, you can represent for any x belongs to a positive real number, square root of x. Any square root of x. Correct or not correct, dear students? Got it? Absolutely clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me repeat once more. In case you have any doubt, let me repeat once more. So what are the steps? Suppose we want to draw, it is better to give an example, so that will be very clear to understand. And after that, I will again go through the steps one by one. Okay. So let me take a different color. Okay. So suppose we need to represent the number root 3 in the number line. That is our task. Okay. So for that, what you will do? First task is that we will, first draw a straight line, AB. All of you are able to, follow me now?
Yes,
AB,
sir.
and that AB, length of that AB is 3. As length of AB is 3, and then after that in the same scale, we extend that B to another point called C, such that BC is equal to 1. Correct or not? Correct, no?
Yeah.
So AB is equal to 3 and BC is equal to 1. Then obviously AC is what? AC
X
should
plus
be
3 plus 1, 4.
3 plus 1, 4. Thank you very much. 3 plus 1 is 4. Then what we are going to do, dear students, we find the midpoint of AC. Let me use a different color. Midpoint of AC, let's say the midpoint of AC is the point O. Correct now? Then what will be OC?
2.
OC will be 2. Very well said. So we get OC is equal to 2. Correct now? And what will be OB? OB? OB is
1.
equal to? Very
1.
good. OB is equal to 1. So then, first what you'll do, dear students, is that we will construct a semicircle by keeping that O as the center and OC or OA as the radius. So the semicircle will looks like this. I am bad in drawing, but okay, you understand now. So it is a semicircle with O as the center and OC as the radius or OA as the radius. Correct, no, dear students? Then what you'll do? From the point B, we are going to draw a perpendicular. From the point B, we are going to draw a perpendicular, and that perpendicular will cut the semicircle at the point T. That means as if we are going to draw a perpendicular. And this is the point E. Now tell me, dear students, here we know that OB is equal to 1 and OC is equal to what? 2.
2.
As OC is equal to 2, so OE is equal to 2 also, na, dear students?
Yeah.
Why OE is equal to 2? If OC
Because
is
both are radius.
fantastic, appreciate. So it actually helps me to understand that you are really understanding. Yes, OE and OC both are the radius of the semicircle I just drawn. So as OC is equal to 2 units, so OE is equal to 2 units. Correct or not?
Yeah.
So now, as OC is equal to 2 units and OE is equal to 2 units, OE is 2 units, and OB, we just found it is 1 unit just few minutes back.
Yeah.
Then apply Pythagoras theorem. What will be the value of BE? So BE, if we apply the Pythagoras
3.
theorem in the triangle, square root of 3.
Yeah,
It should
sir,
be
sir.
square root of, correct or not?
Yeah.
OE square minus OB square. Correct, na?
Yeah.
So from here, we get the value of BE is equal to OE is what? OE is equal to, we know it is 2 square, right? It's 4. And OB is 1, 1 square, that is 1. So from here, what we get, the value of BE is equal to square root of 3. Now, our task is simple. What we are going to do? We can draw a circular arc. You can draw in the circular arc. You just open your your geometry box and you can do this thing. Circular arc by keeping that point B as the center and BE as the radius. Correct, na?
Yeah.
So then, if you draw the circular arc will be something like this. Correct, na, dear students? And if you extend that line, OC, so it will cut it at the point what? Suppose let it cut at the point, suppose F, for example. Then what we get? BF should be equal to BE, na, dear students?
Yes, sir.
BF should be BD, na? Correct or not?
Yeah.
So what we get? BF.
Is equal to root 3.
Exactly. Very good. So BF is equal to BE, that is equal to root 3. So as BF is equal to root 3, so we are able to measure that in a straight line manner, what is BF? That is root 3. Then representing that is very easy. How? We will recall that point B as the origin, 0. Correct, my dear students?
Yes, sir.
Correct or not? As if that we are representing this in the number line something like this. This is my number line where B is the point here, which is the origin. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
And if we are actually measuring here, that's it. That B, instead of B, we can call this as the number 0, represented by the number 0. Then F should be represented by the number line root 3. Correct or not?
Yeah.
All of you are able to get it? So if we recall that point B is represented by the number line number 0, then F must be represented by the number root 3.
Yeah.
So in this manner, you can represent any number, dear students. Okay, for any x, square root of x, you can represent in the number line. Any doubt so far? Okay, before I proceed, I just want to just tell you once more about these steps. So here the point is that representing square root of x in number line for any x belongs to R. The first and foremost step is what? Okay, the first step is that draw a line segment AB of length x units, and the point B further proceeds to the point C along the same line so that the length of BC is 1 unit. So then what we get AC? AC we get AB plus BC, that is x plus 1, correct? That is the step 1. Steps 2 is that let us find the midpoint of AC. Using your concepts of construction, you can always find the midpoint of AC. Once you find the midpoint of AC, let us give that midpoint of AC as O, the point as O. Correct, my dear students? So let us give that point as O. Then what you'll do, that what we'll get, not what you'll do, what we'll get, the moment we get that O as the midpoint of the line segment AC, then OC should be equal to AC by 2, which is x plus 1 by 2. And OB should be OC minus BC. OC is already x plus 1 by 2, you already found. And BC is equal to 1. So OC minus BC, that is x plus 1 by 2 minus 1, that is x minus 1 by 2. Correct or not?
Yeah.
After that, what we'll do, dear students, is that we'll construct a semicircle. We'll construct a semicircle by keeping O as the center and OC as the radius, or OA as the radius. And what is OC? OC is equal to x plus 1 by 2. So we're keeping that OC as radius. Let's first draw a semicircle, and that semicircle will look like this, as you see in the step 3. Correct, na, dear students? Absolutely clear, na? Step 3. Then what in step 4, what we are going to do is that from the point B, we will draw a perpendicular, okay? From the point B, let us draw a perpendicular on the line AC, and it cuts the semicircle at the point D. As you see, this is the point D, dear students. Then what is get? We get a right angle triangle OBD, in which OD we already found, that is equal to OC, which is x plus 1 by 2, and OB also we found in the previous steps as OB is equal to x minus 1 by 2. So in the right angle triangle OBD, we found OB equal to x minus 1 by 2 and OD is equal to x plus 1 by 2. Then what is OB? It's pretty simple to calculate using Pythagoras theorem. Sorry, not OB, BD. So how to find BD? It is pretty simple using the Pythagoras theorem. BD square is equal to OD square minus OB square. What is OD? X plus 1 by 2 whole square. And what is OB? X minus 1 by 2 whole square. So we make subtraction, and then with a simplification, as I explained, we found that BD square equal to x square, BD square equal to x. Hence, BD equal to square root of x. Clear or not clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, after that, what we are going to do is that and we are going to represent that number square root of x in the number line by means of the step 5. Finally, what you will do? We are going to draw a circular arc by keeping B as the center and BD as the radius. Then that circular arc, as you see in the red color, will cut the line extended AC at the point E, and what we get, BE is equal to the same radius like BD, which is square root of x. Correct, no, dear students? So with all these steps, what we have achieved? With all these steps, we have achieved to find a line segment that is BE, which is equal to square root of x. And dear students, our task is almost done. As we get a line segment BE, which is equal to square root of x, it is pretty simple to represent in the number line. How? We will represent that B, the point B, as the number 0. Then obviously point E, which is the right hand side of O, either right hand side of B, as square root of 3, is square root of x, sorry, in context to the generic discussion. Correct? So what we get? We get the number BE is equal to square root of x. We keep that B represented at 0, as you see it here. B represented as 0, the point C represented as 1, and we get BE is equal to square root of x. I hope it is absolutely clear. Now, after the class, once you will do some DPPs, then you will get, dear students, it is if you get whatever the question is there, represent any square root of x number in the number line, you will find so simple. Now I'm going to discuss something very interesting, and I hope you will appreciate it, that learning. Suppose we get a number is given to you, and that number given to you in a decimal form. Okay, that means decimal representation of a number is given to you, and the decimal representation you see is that non-terminating and recurring. So what you can say from that number? Can you please answer what you can conclude from that number? A number's decimal expression is given to you, which is non-terminating but repeating.
It's a
Then
rational number.
fantastic, fantastic. Appreciate. Yes, it is a rational number. Good. Now, dear student, if it is a rational number, definitely it has to be in the form of P by Q. Correct or not? Clear or not clear? That where P and Q are integers, Q is not equal to 0, and HCF of P and Q is equal to 1. Correct or not, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Great. So we are going to learn now that someone gives us a number which is non-terminating and repeating. But that person is asking us, hey, you represent that number in the form of P by Q. Okay, that we are going to learn in a very step-by-step manner, and you will appreciate it, I hope. And if you do not appreciate, then also let me know. No, sir, I have a better method. I learn from you. No, not a big deal. So what does it mean? Let me give an example. After that, I will explain you. Suppose a number is given to us, as 0.583333, like that, it is continuing. How to represent in the number line P by Q? Let me give it to a new page and let me explain. Sorry. Dear students, you are able to view the screen very clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, suppose a number given to us, let me first give you the, the motivation behind understanding why you need to understand this thing. Suppose a number is given to us something like that 0.58333 like this 0.58333 like that dot 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 it goes on. That means what you can write in a symbolic representation 0.583 dot, correct or not, dot or bar, whatever, right?
Yes, sir.
So now it is a rational number or irrational number, tell me.
Rational number.
Fantastic, it is a rational number. Now as it is a rational number, it must be expressed in the form of p by q, na?
Yeah.
So the question is that how to represent this in the form of p by q, that we are going to learn. And you will find several books, dear students, where it has been explained in different manner, but I am here going to give you a step-by-step methodology. And once you learn that, you can represent any such number whose decimal expression is, non-terminating but recurring in a very, very simple steps in the form of p by q. The first, what you will do, dear students, here is the steps. First, let me explain by means of this, this example. So this number p by q should be in the form of something like this. It should be u minus v, dear students, u minus v divided by 10 to the power s minus 10 to the power t. So we have introduced four numbers u, v, s and t. What is u? U is the number, dear students, is that the entire digit as you see in the decimal expression. So suppose this number is x. Suppose that number is given as x. From here we need to like x, na? So x is the number given to us. Correct, na, dear students?
Yes, sir.
It is given to us. That's 0.583 on top of 3 there is a dot. That means 3 is repeating. That number is given to us and we assume that number is x. So what is u? U is the entire digit in x as appeared in its decimal expression. So what is that? U should be 0.583, correct or not? Clear or not clear, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Minus v. What is v? V is the non-terminating digits in x. Non-terminating digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression. What is that? It is
3.
0.58, non-terminating. 3 is terminating.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I got my point, na? V, I repeat, V is the non-terminating digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression. It is 0.58 now. Out of this number 0.583, 3 is the digit which is repeating.
Yeah.
So our point is that apart from 3, what are the digits which are not repeating? Na? 0.58, correct?
Yeah.
Divided by.
So we don't add the decimal point in these.
Not required. That's what I'm telling. It is a pure number.
Okay.
What is u? Let me repeat. U is the entire digits. We are writing the digits here.
Okay.
U is the entire digits in x as appeared in its decimal expression. What are the digits of x which are appeared in the decimal expression? 0.583, na?
Yeah.
That's why you wrote 0.583.
Okay.
What is v? V is the out of those digits in the u. We are just focusing on the non-terminating digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression. Out of these digits 0.583, what are the non-terminating digits?
Yeah.
That is 0.58.
Yeah.
3 is the digit which is actually recurring, na?
Yeah.
The terminating, and got my not terminating, recurring, correct, na?
Yeah.
That is the non-terminating digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now what is s? S is the number of digits in the given number x after the decimal point. How many numbers are there in the after the decimal points?
3.
It is 3, na? Correct or not? So that is equal to 10 power 3 minus 10 power t. What is t, dear students? T is the number of digits in x after the decimal points that do not repeat. How many such digits are there? 2, 5 and 8, na?
Yeah.
So that number is represented by the number 0.5833333. Let's simplify. 0583 minus 058 is equal to 525. If you calculate, you will get 525. And 10 to the power 3 minus 10 to the power 2, 10 to the power 3 minus 10 to the power 2, 10 to the power 3 is 1000, 10 to the power 2 is 100. So 1000 minus 100 is 900. So 525 by 900, if you make into a simplified form, that is will be 7 by 12. Now, dear students, if you have a calculator in front of you right now, you just find the decimal value of 7 by 12, you will find 0.58333333. If you have, you can test it. I'll appreciate if you have a calculator, and if you have a calculator, I will appreciate if you test it now. Is it clear? After that, I'll come to the more theory. Is it clear or not clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me first explain the theory, then again I will come up with another question. Correct or not? Okay. Okay. Now let me explain you the theory. Okay. Let x be a rational number whose decimal representation is non-terminating but repeating. Like that number, as you see 0.583, which is repeating. Now we can represent this x expressed in decimal like 0.58333333 like this in the p by q form, to the p by q form as below. X equal to p by q, that is equal to u minus v by 10 to the power s minus 10 to the power t, where u is the entire digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression. So for the number 0.583, show 0583 as you see it here, dear students.
Yes,
Correct
sir.
now? All of you are able to get it, dear students?
Yes, sir.
Correct, 0583 minus v. V is the non-terminating digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression, that is 058. Correct?
Yeah.
Divided by 10 to the power s minus 10 to the power t. What is s? S is the number of digits in x after the decimal point. So how many digits are there after the decimal points?
3.
It is 3, 583. There are 3 decimal points. That's why we wrote 10 to the power 3 minus 10 to the power s, 10 to the power t. Sorry. What is t? T is the number of digits in x after the decimal point that do not repeat. Out of these 3 decimal points, how many digits are not repeating? 2, na? 5 and 8.
Yeah.
So that is why 10 to the power 2. So what we get the number 0583 minus 058 divided by 10 to the power 3 minus 10 to the power 2. After that you do some simplification the way you know, and it will be done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let us all do together one question. But before that, let me first show it to you. Please look into this particular example. Just spend couple of minutes. After that, I will give one problem so that we'll solve together. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to give you, dear students, is it fine? Absolutely clear? Can you solve one problem together?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now what I'm going to give, I'm to give a number, dear students, a number called, all of you do it, and and do let me know what is the value you are getting. 3.548, and on top of 48 there is a bar. What does it mean? It means it is actually 3.548484848 and so on. Correct or not?
Yeah.
So we want to represent this number in the form of P by Q. So that means if I say represent in P by Q form. Correct or not?
Yeah.
So what you need to write? P by Q, as I just explained, it should be in the form of U minus V divided by 10 to the power S minus 10 to the power T. Correct or not?
Yeah.
So I want you to spend some time and then you need to let me know. Correct or not?
Sir,
Yes.
I'm getting 1171 by 330.
You divide and see that whether you are getting that result or not. Okay. Are you getting my point? What I'm telling?
Yeah.
Whatever the number you got, that is in the form of P by Q, na?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that
I'll divide and see if it's the same decimal as
exactly
one.
correct. You got it.
Okay.
Repeat once more, dear Manishika. What is the value you got?
1171 by 330.
Fantastic. I think it is absolutely correct. Appreciate. Dear Kalpita, did you find that one? I can explain if you wish. Okay, very good. Appreciate, Manishika. So, how you are finding it out? Exactly, I just repeat for the sake of completeness that you here. What is you? You is that if we just go through the theory and just write it down. So, in context to the question, let me use a different color. What is the value of u here?
3548.
Exactly 3548, as u is nothing but the entire digits in x. If we assume this is x, this number as x, if we assume this number as x, then entire digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression, that is 3548. Then what is v? V is equal to the
335.
non-terminating digits in x as appeared in the decimal expression. That is non-terminating digits as appeared in the decimal expression is nothing but
35.
35. Correct or not? Very good. It is 35. Now, what is s according to our understanding? S is the number of digits in x after the decimal point. After the decimal point, there are 3 digits. And what is t? T t is equal to the number of digits in x after the decimal point that do not repeat, that is only 1. Correct or not? So it is so simple. After that, it is very, very simple to formulate one. So that is equal to u is what? 3548 minus 35 divided by 10 to the power 3 minus 10 to the power 1. Now, if you simplify further, I'm not spending time on simplification. If you simplify, then exactly that value, what you said, 1171 by 330. 1171 divided by 330. Now, dear students, if you get this kind of question, and that where the number is given in decimal expression with non-terminating but recurring, and you found the value in the form of p by q, you express that value in the form of p by q to confirm that you got it correct. So make a division of p by q. If calculator is allowed, you can use calculator. If calculator is not allowed, you just make a long division if your turning time permits, okay, after answering all the questions. And you can verify whether it is actually representing the value, decimal value after division, 3.548484848 or not. Got it, no? Like this. So with this, I would like to conclude the class for today. In the next class, we will discuss more details about the real numbers, different operations we do in the real numbers. But before that, I'd like to show you the online platform, and I would like to tell you that exactly what DPPs you need to submit before we start our next class. Okay, so I'm going to share another screen with you, dear students, and I'll show you how you need to appear those DPPs. Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing the present screen, and I'm going to share another screen with you in another few minutes, not even a minute. I hope all of you are able to view the website of konarkclasses.com, dear students.
Yes, sir.
Great. Then you need to click into the login, and you need to give your login and password. So I'm going to give a login, demo login of 9. Okay. After successful login, what will go, dear students, is that you need to go to the write online examination. And here you need to give is that number systems. You see the DPP of set 1. You click into the view paper details. So let me go through the whatever is mentioned. Dear students, please note the following points before appearing this paper. Point 1, all the questions are mandatory. If you see the point 1 is mentioned, all the questions are mandatory. Point 2, the time duration for this test is 2 hours. Please note that in this test, how much marks you are getting is not important. It is important how well you understand the concepts during learning and how well you are applying these concepts in solving these questions. Dear students, why I made this statement? This statement I made because whatever the problem you are going to solve in this under online examination, under this kind of paper will make your foundation very strong, which will help you to appear a relatively difficult question, which will get in the right practice test. If you see the right practice test in the top right corner, you see after the home symbol, correct, na, dear students? So here you will get, but here in the right practice test, you will get relatively difficult, complex questions. And in this DPP, whatever the questions you will get, it will help you in two ways. First is that it will help you to make a good score in your in your board examination, and also it will help you to make your foundation very strong, so that it will help you to prepare for your different engineering and medical and science entrance examination in future. Not now. You are in class 9, not now, but 2 years down the line, you need to prepare for this examination, and it will help you. Now, what you'll do after that, you see happy testing with best wishes, Team Corner classes this. After that, you click into the right test. So, and you see all these questions are, descriptive questions. Okay. And as it is descriptive questions, what you need to do, dear students, you need to write these answers in your, in pages. Okay. In your notebook or loose sheet, whatever. Once you write your answer in details, take a neat and clean picture of all those pages. Neat and clean, I repeat. Okay. It should not be, blurred images, or it should not be, shadow images. It should be very clear, neat and clean images. And once you write all these things, okay, for all these questions, you see, dear students, okay, 10 questions. After that, you need to click on the upload answer. You see, dear students, there is a button called upload answer. All of you are able to view it, dear students.
Yes, sir.
So you need to click into the upload answer. Okay. Before that, I would like to share the entire screen with you. Okay, just a minute. So that you will get all the features, because there are some pop-up, and pop-up you will not able to view whatever I am sharing now. I hope now you are able to view my entire screen, dear students. Able to view or not?
Yes, sir.
Could you please confirm? Yeah, great. So after that, what you'll do, dear students, is that you need to come to that upload answer. You see here in the bottom. So your time is 2 hours. 2 hours may not be required. And you see the time left is actually shown in the left-hand side, time left, minute and second. So you click into the upload answer. Once your answer paper is ready, you take a, scan. There is an app called Cam Scanner. You can use that, make use of that app and scan all the pages. And after scanning all the pages, you can prepare a single PDF file or single JPG file or single PNG file, whatever. Okay. And then upload that file. So if you click into the upload answer, you see, dear student, there is a pop-up window came with information. Please browse the file, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then choose file. You need to choose file. And you need to choose a particular file, means where your answer paper is available. You click that one. Once you click this one, you see 1.png, for example. That is my answer paper. Then done. Once it is done, what the message you are able to see, dear students? Can someone please read it out? Manishika, could you please read it out?
Yes, sir. Uploaded successfully.
Uploaded successfully. Success, uploaded successfully. Okay, done. After that, what you do not stop there. After that, you need to submit paper. Okay, after that, you need to click on submit paper. If you click on submit paper, you will get a pop-up window. You see, are you sure to submit now? You click OK, and then your paper is submitted. Then what will happen? We will get notified. We have a team of faculties, teachers, those who will actually download your answer paper. We'll evaluate those answer papers, and then again the evaluated paper will be uploaded back by the teacher. Once your answer paper is uploaded by the teacher, evaluated answer paper is uploaded by the teacher, you will also get a notification of her email. And then you can click into that, you can log into your platform and you can download your evaluated paper. So what happens? Sitting in home, you are uploading your descriptive answer paper, and you are also getting your evaluated paper get download is actually available in your account, so that you can download it and you can look into it wherever the mistakes, if at all you have done any mistakes, wherever the mistakes have been done. Got it, no, dear students?
Yes, sir.
So, I repeat, this you need to do meticulously, okay? Do not miss any of the DPPs what I'm assigning, okay? If you mistake, if you delay it, actually, it will actually come back to you later with a burden, okay? So, whatever the DPPs are there, that you need to solve it. Got it, no? Again, you can go to, so suppose sir will give a DPP, I'll give the DPP. Then what you'll do? You just need to write the number here, then go to the next DPP. Again, the same thing, write test, and you will get questions. Correct, no, dear students? So
Yes.
I'll give you what are the DPPs you need to solve, and you really need to work on all these things very, very meticulously. If you do all these things, I repeat, as I said few minutes back, it will help you to make your foundation, rock solid. Your foundation will be very, very rock solid, so that it will helpful to you to, prepare for the competitive entrance examination in future. And second one is that your board examination marks will be very good. These are the two advantages of solving these DPPs as I assigned. So with this, I would like to conclude the class for today. Our next class is on Tuesday, that is on 12th of May at 4 p.m. And you will get the entire class note in another 15 minutes from now. And in that, I'll also tell you what are the DPPs you need to solve. So you see it now. So DPP set 1, set 2, and set 3, and set 4. These are the 4 DPPs you need to solve for today. Means by the next class. Correct now? Again, you
Yes,
got, and you go to number system and go to the set 3, and set 3 questions you will also get. So like this, set 3 and set 4. That are 4 sets you need to solve. Correct, no, dear students?
yes, sir.
Okay. With this, I would like to, with this note, I would like to conclude the class for today, unless you have any specific question or statement for me.
No.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Manishika. Thank you, Kalpita.
Thank you, sir.